start out talking about strings. Now, I kind of pre-bend my strings down here at the ball end, and what I'm doing is I'll take the ball and I'll pre-bend that just at a soft curve, so that it makes a soft curve right here, kind of emulating what's going on here at the bridge, like you see now. So I kind of pre-bend that, and I'm using a solid bridge pin like the old pre-war guitars. So I like that solid pin, and then I'll groove my bridge here so that it'll give the string relief. And sometime, I don't know, in the might have been mid 60s or something, Martin went to a grooved bridge pin, and then they eliminated a step here at the bridge. They didn't groove the bridge anymore, so they kind of eliminated that. But I like the solid pin, and then having the grooves in the bridge. I think that gives it a little bit more tension right here over the saddle. So, being that said, I put that in there and make sure that that ball is underneath the bridge plate. That's very important. And once you do that, put your pin in. And then I'm going to stretch this string. And what I mean by not pull it, I want to get it to where it's not sloppy. And it's just making a straight line from the saddle up to the peg. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap that string around my peg. And on my low E string here, I'm going to wrap that about 2 times. So I'm going to start wrapping it at the bottom, and then keep wrapping it up the tuning peg. And then when I get up to around 2 turns, I'm going to go ahead and take the end now, put it through the hole, and then I'm going to tighten that then like that. So I do it backwards. I don't go ahead and put the string through the peg first. I do that last. And that keeps my windings. I can control those windings. And then I don't have to use a peg winder and all that business, because I'm wanting to save these tuners as much as I can. So that keeps, the windings off of keep winding on the tuner. They'll take it. I mean, they're Waverleys, so they're good. They're great tuners. But if I can, I just don't like to wind all that time. So I just like to go up there, do my winding on there 2 times on the bass string, and then on the top of that winding, I'm going to put it through the hole, and then I'm going to take the other end, and I'm going to tighten it. Then I'm just going to pull it through that hole right there. So I'm going to do that. I've got about 2 windings on my this low E, and then gradually going up here, I got 3 on the A string, and then I've got about 4 windings on my 4th string right there. And same deal. I'm gonna take that, put it through the bridge plate, put my pin in, and then I'm gonna take that string, stretch it up here to where this is making a straight line. There's no slack in it. I'm gonna wind it, and then at the top, I'm gonna put the end of that string through the hole at the top and then pull it. So I'm doing it kind of backwards. And like I say, I always do 1 string at a time, because these necks, after they get tension on them, it kind of, for me, I hate to take all 6 strings off, because you got about 120 pounds of pull, and so I just do 1 at a time. That kind of, kind of the neck is kind of at a tension there, so I want to keep that going, so it's not getting the whole guitar out of 0 tension, and then you're putting 6 strings on. So I do them 1 at a time. Makes it a little bit easier to tune. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is when do you change strings? I used to, when we was playing a lot of gigs, I used to change like, at the gig right before going, and then I'd have all this tuning problems, oh, and the strings just wasn't settling down, and I was always afraid of breaking a string, more so than I was paying attention to, hey, I'm having all this tuning problems on stage. So I don't do that anymore. I used to do that, and I remember at one point in time I was backstage with Tony Rice, and I was talking to him, and Tony, looked at me and said, man, and he knew I had new strings on because he probably saw me changing them or like that, and he looked at me, he goes, man, I don't know how you guys put those new strings on there and get those strings to tune during your set. And I remember telling Tony, I said, well, to be honest with you, I'm having problems with that. And so Tony said, man, he goes, man, I always put my strings on maybe a week before, at least, if you can, or, a couple of days before you go out. And that while they're sitting there, guitar in the case, then it's going to stretch. Now, one of the things that you do not want to do is take that string after you put it on and go like this and stretch it. You do not want to do that. If you look at a string, it's kind of like a spring. So if you take one part of that spring, and you go like that, it kind of makes that spring kind of elongated. So, it's over time, it's got this, probably way I can visualize in my mind is that part is longer now, and then it gradually goes out to where this is not probably stretched as long, and then your string is kind of out of caliber now. So your string's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if that's good for it or not. I don't think it is. And I've had, I've seen people have problems tuning after that. Their string is kind of not, doesn't oscillate right when they hit it, and they have problems with it tuning. So I would not advise you to do that I've seen people like seen guitar techs, man, after put strings on, man, they'll just stretch and stretch, and then I don't know how they tune it. It kind of gets everything out of whack there as far as the string goes. So I just put the strings on, I tune them up. I may tune them up a little bit sharp, and then just let it sit in the case for a day or so. Like I say, I've kind of learned my lesson after Tony told me that. I since that moment, I never did that again, and and it works out better. I mean, I'd rather go on stage with strings that might not be as fresh, but they'll tune, and don't have to worry about the tuning, because that's a real drag. You're sitting there, winding on your guitar, and it kind of gets aggravating after a while. So that's one thing I do is try to put those things on 2 or 3 days before, and sometimes you can't help it, but if you can, try to put them on there as soon as you get back or whatever like that for the next week, and that'll kind of take care of that problem.